consent to being recorded. Now's the time to exit.
Yes.
All right. Well, we are live.
It's up to you. You want to record me?
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, thank you all for being here. And we sent a message out to probably, I don't know, 15 or so people for the West East Express Stakeholder Committee. I haven't come up with a better name than that. Community Advisory Committee is even worse. But I'm Eric Lashinsky. I'm the Chief of Comprehensive Planning in our Planning and Zoning Department. I've met some of you, not all, in person. So I definitely want to start with some introductions. I just set this from 6 to 7 p.m. Want to just not take too much of your time. I think that'll be appropriate amount of time. It's our first meeting of this group. I think we'll probably be meeting every other month, something like that. So let's just go ahead and tell folks who you are. I guess let's just do the other people from City of Annapolis first. Brian, you want to go?
I'm Brian Callahan. I'm in the mayor's office.
All right. Casey?
I'm Casey Ortiz with Planning and Zoning. I'm helping Eric and Brian out.
And Julian's here. He's the guy running the show. You don't have to introduce yourself, Julian. But if everybody's wondering who that is off camera. I'm just going to go around on my screen. Steve?
I'm here. I'm with you.
Good. Actually, tell people if you have any kind of affiliation with any group or what your connection to the Poplar Trail / West East Express is, if any.
Okay, yeah. I am a daily commuter to Parole, Hudson Street from Arnold area across the Navy Bridge. So I would be using mostly the west end of the Lee, I guess, right? Would that be mostly? But it would take me off of West Street, which would be very good for my health.
Awesome. Hugh, please go ahead.
Hey, my name's Hugh Hayes. I live in Eastport. I bike around town for a lot of my needs and just getting around to different restaurants and stuff. And I have 2 small kids. You might hear one of them in the background. And I'm just really passionate about making Annapolis a better place to bike and more safe for me and for my kids.
Thank you. John Corin.
Hi, John Corin. I'm president of Bicycle Advocates for Annapolis and Anne Arundel County, more affectionately known as Bike AAA. I also chair the Anne Arundel County Bike Advisory Commission. So we promote safe cycling for transportation, recreation, and fitness for people of all ages, abilities, and means. This is a really important corridor. Always has been since our launch 10 years ago. Thanks for Eric and Brian for getting it going. Thank you.
Thanks for being here, John. Dan Roche.
Yeah, hi. So I'm Dan. I live in Admiral Heights, which is kind of near the trail. And I also commute by bike, not very far. I work at the Naval Academy. But I also run and I also like to mountain bike sometimes. So I use that corridor for a variety of things. And I would love to not have to ride and run on the road so much. So anyway, I kind of bugged my council person about this for Ward 2, and so she put me in touch with Eric, and so that's why I'm here. So I'm happy to see if I can contribute in any way.
She's like, I'll show him. I'm going to put him on this committee. Thanks. Todd, please go ahead. If you're there, Todd Powell.
Oh, he froze.
He may have stepped away or froze. All right, Phil, please. You're Phil. You're driving, but you're muted. You're muted.
I'm good. I got you.
Hey everybody, Phil Latetto. I live across from the trail on its westernmost end, the Poplar Trail, right near where it ends at Admiral. In Ward 3, use the path all the time to go downtown. Love it. It's part of my deal when friends visit. And also I'm a community organizer of sorts, and I'm hoping we can use this as an opportunity to maybe build some community within the communities that these trails go through, as well as in between them. Check.
Thank you, Phil. Katrina?
Hi, Katrina Williams. I am actually a Parks and Recreation professional by trade. Been in Parks and Recreation for 25 years. My background was health and fitness, all things facilities, done quite a bit of programming on trails, and I'm actually a part of the Recreation Advisory Board. This was of interest to me as I've been in Annapolis 12 years now. I just like to see our outdoors fully utilized and utilized in a positive, safe manner. And so I think that also speaks to, I have a master's in public health. And so anything that I can do to help people stay safe while utilizing trails, paved, unpaved, equestrian, whatever they may be, is of interest to me.
Happy to have you here. Todd, are you back? Maybe not.
He's not, no.
Okay. Crystal, please go ahead.
Hi, I'm Crystal. I'm a resident in Annapolis on Clay Street, and I'm also an artist and poet here in the Arts District, a member of the board, the Annapolis Arts District. And I have recently only just discovered the trail, and I've walked it a couple of times, and I love it. I think it's a great walk. I think it's a great opportunity to connect the different communities in Annapolis. So I'm definitely interested in seeing how we move forward with it.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Glad you could be here. Todd, you're back. At least we can see you.
Yes, hey, Eric, I'm back. It was a terrible connection, so I didn't hear anything anyone said. I think I was on a delay.
Okay. You didn't miss much, just people
Can you
introducing
hear?
themselves. Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you for inviting me, Eric. Yeah, I live, right off the trail from Germantown Elementary. So I'm pleased to be a part of this, and I use it, going down to Maryland Hall, but I do use it. I had to use it today I had jury duty. So I just walked on down the trail this morning to get the shuttle on down to the court. So I'm glad you let us out early now. I had jury duty today. I use the trail.
I'll have to add that to the list of things people use the trail for. That's good. Jonathan, please go ahead.
I'm Jonathan McCuff. I live on Poplar, right on the trail, and I work from home, so I stare at the trail every day. I use the trail all the time to, bring my kids around and to school and to the pool and all sorts of, grocery shopping, things like that. I'm also one of the organizers of Annapolis Bike Party, so I actually party on the trail in a sense. And we ride, 50 bike riders around town once a month, and often use the trails. So I use it for a variety of purposes, and I'm certainly interested in seeing it modernized and widened and connected to other parts of the city that we all seem to need to frequent and go to. And so this is exciting.
When is the next bike party?
It's the third Thursday of every month. So the June 15th is the next one.
Excellent.
And we always meet at Acton Cove in Murray Hill with the duck park around 7:30. So you're all welcome to join.
All right. Thank you.
Mhm.
Carl?
Hey, I'm Carl Trass. I'm actually coming to you live from the trail right now, where I'm pushing a stroller. So you'll probably see Jonathan in about 30 seconds. I'm the vice president of the Germantown Homeland Community Association, and also I'm obviously an active trail user myself, and have been working with Eric in the city over the past couple of months around designs for specifically the Poplar Trail portion.
Great. And Eric Evans, I think, is the last person here.
Hi, Eric Evans, Executive Director of both the Downtown Annapolis Partnership and the Annapolis Arts District. Those organizations have helped put down most of the shares that you see in the Historic District and Murray Hill community, and a lot of the artistic bike racks along the Arts District along West Street. And I live in the West Street corridor.
Thanks for being here. Yeah. So if you couldn't tell, I mean, the intent was to try to represent all the communities alongside the trail on this group, in addition to some other stakeholders that have, an interest in making this a great asset for the city. We're almost well represented with this group. Some people couldn't make it tonight. We have a representative from President's Hill, and at least one more person from the parole area. And there's a few, we invited a couple business owners, bike shops primarily that are close to the trail. And so we'll, I'm sure we'll get some other people in the future, but for now, the intent tonight, just wanted to give you an update on where we are with the project, share the drawings that we've shared recently at a public event that we did. Some of you were able to come to. Thank you for being there. It was an outdoor event downtown at the People's Park, which is where the West East Express would start from when it's realized. And I just want to share those and just get the comments that you may have already mentioned or are on your mind, and really anything else that we can kind of capture as we move forward. So let me first let me share my screen, and I want to just start by, if most of you probably all know that we have this website. Hopefully you can see my screen here. This is the one trail that we have a dedicated website for right now. We're going to probably add more pages. Casey and I work on these together. We have a few other big trail projects, College Creek Connector, the Hilltop Lane Connector. There's something on Bay Ridge Avenue that we're doing right now. But this one has probably it's most mature in terms of, we've just been planning this for a while. I've been at the city for 3 years. It came well before me. People have been talking about this idea for years, probably a few decades, the old train line. So I think with our current mayor, one of the big ideas was to brand it, give it a name, a recognizable name, and talk about it as ultimately something that would connect downtown to Waterworks Park. So part of that is in Anne Arundel County, outside of our control, but we work, city staff work really closely with Anne Arundel County and with Bike AAA to advance that portion. For the immediate scope for the city, it's really these three segments: the existing Poplar Trail, which would be improved from its current essentially 6 foot wide width with some other amenities as well. And then the east extension goes from Taylor to Calvert Street, the People's Park. Most of that is behind the Graduate Hotel on their service road. And then the western extension is from Admiral Drive, where the Poplar Trail currently ends, to Route 2, Solomon's Island Road. Now our design team is contracted right now on the western extension just to go to Old Solomon's Island Road. It's frustrating. There's that last little bit, but that is the most challenging part of this from a logistic perspective, because right now, the feasibility study that was done for that segment just kind of shoehorned the trail into the sidewalk area alongside West Street, and it's really not a great trail right now. So what we want to do is work with the state. State owns that roadway. They own all of West Street for the most part. We really want to work with them on that last little bit, and really see if it can be part of a broader West Street redesign. That's not a great gateway entry to the city. And so we think if we can put all the pieces together leading up to that, then it'll be a no-brainer for the state to help with that. So that's just an overview, and you can see on this map, there's a bunch of the other trail projects that we have going on. This is where we're going to put new drawings as they become available, and project updates, and stuff about the schedule and participation. And frankly, we'll probably continue to invite people to participate in these meetings if they're interested. So all right, with that, let me pull up.
Hey, Eric, just real
yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you've got engagement at all from SHA? We're going to need them either for that little stretch of West Street, or the crossing of 2. So, I mean, how would you characterize SHA's current status on this?
I don't think we're there yet. They know of the project, but I don't think that we're not getting any sort of traction in terms of I would say we haven't made a real pitch to them to, it was actually at the quarterly meeting that we do with Anne Arundel County and MDOT SHA. I did bring it up as, this is something that we really want to become a real project. And they asked us to coordinate that through Nate Evans, who's the bike coordinator for MDOT SHA, and runs the grant program. And so that's, I guess that was our intent, but I think your help could also be great on the District 5 people. But that's, I don't have a zoomed in map of the intersection at West Street and Solomon's Island Road, but that is a really, really, really bad place for anybody to try to cross. And so what we're trying to do is start there, really kind of work from there back to connect with where our trail would meet.
So I think let's you and I take an action. I mean, I'm very close with Nate, but
Yeah,
he's not, and he can be a facilitator for us, but it won't be his project. He's MDOT. He's not even SHA.
Oh, right.
We will need to get either District 5 to establish a project, or we'll need to get Luis and that group that's working the another part is
called innovative contracting. Marguerite and Luis.
The retrofit and all of that. We're gonna need either or to have a defined project.
Yeah. Thank you. That makes sense. All right. So the pull up the
everyone.
Yeah.
I am so sorry. This is Crystal. I actually have to cut out. My niece has a performance taking place at Maryland Hall this evening, and so I'm about to be on my way to partake in that event.
Great. Go enjoy yourself. Thanks for coming, Crystal.
Yeah.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me. Thank you for including me. I'm really looking forward to see how
Break a
what we
leg.
can do with this trail.
Break a
This
leg.
piece right here, Crystal, is right behind your house.
Really?
Yeah. That's Bowman Place right there.
Yeah. So here we are at West Street and West Washington. This is really where the trail starts. In downtown. I mean, one end
right
of it.
there. Is that on the Lowe's Express Road?
Yeah. So it would come right through. It's going to come through the wall that is right at the end of Pleasant Street. There's a chain link fence and a wall, and it's going to come right through there and then come alongside the Lowe's, the Graduate Hotel Service Road. So it's going to be on the Graduate side their parking lot, and we're going to have an access point at Pleasant Street. I'm going to back up once you take off, Crystal, but just want to give you a awareness and then Rideout Street is another access point from the Clay Street community. So those will be direct access points to the trail. And then you could just basically jump on it, go out to, this is all still on that service road, to Taylor Avenue. Now, we're trying to make this circle a reality. This was a planned traffic circle it's part of this new hotel project that is coming. It's under construction right now. There's a sort of alternate design as well. It's complicated, but it's going to be a much safer crossing regardless. One design or another, it's not going to be what it is today. And it's really privileging the trail crossing, which is being moved up. You can see it in gray pedestrian striping.
Yeah,
right
yeah.
here. So that's the basic idea. Thank you. I know you have to jump off, but this is going to be a great asset, for your neighbor, you and your neighbors, and
definitely. It looks awesome from the plans.
Yes, and then I'll just for everyone's sake, some views of what we're talking. So the end of Pleasant Street right now looks pretty bad. You have a parking lot, you have a wall and a chain link right here where my cursor is. That'll be opened up, and that'll be a major entry point to the trail. Better lighting, landscape design. And then this is where the cyclist is right here, is going along it's the Bowman Place Senior Apartments parking lot. This view in the upper left is coming from Pleasant Street down, basically starting into the Graduates parking lot where the trail runs. And so you got to get the idea. These yeah. But
all right. Well, I'll talk to you guys later. Thank you for having me.
You bet. We'll stay in touch. So I'm going to go back. Let me just, I want to talk about the beginning of the trail here, just so everybody's aware. We have the existing People's Park. Today, there's sharrows on the sidewalk, sort of a brick paved sidewalk with sharrows. We're going to be putting the trail into the street in a separated design from traffic. So the parked cars, the parallel parking are going to be bumped out. Let me zoom in a little so you can see. Many of you are already familiar with this. So I just want to make sure everybody's kind of on the same page. And so this is coming from like Rowell Boulevard, St. Anne Cemetery area. We have that College Creek Connector Trail, which is connecting right into this, and from under Rowell Boulevard. And so the idea, it looks a little complicated, but the idea is we initially just had this on-street protected cycle track connecting to this landing in blue here, and that's where you pick up, that's kind of a trailhead for the West East Express. We sort of realized if you're coming from Church Circle on West Street or from Cathedral Street right here, you're either going to go jump on the sidewalk or go against traffic, or you're going to go with traffic and then try to cut across mid-block. So what we did was we extended that two-way cycle track all the way to the intersection. So that's the idea. It's still going to be a little odd maybe for the oncoming drivers, but I think it'll be safe. This would be something to get, we haven't fully finished the design. This is essentially a 30% design. This portion of the trail, but we just want comments throughout. And then you're coming alongside the garage here where there's an existing sidewalk. So that'll be kind of mostly just marked as a trail. I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot. I think we may be widening it a little, but I think it's mostly unchanged. You get to the intersection here, West Washington, where you have senior apartments across the street.
Hey, Eric, just quick just back on so if that cycle track goes all the way to West Street, so somebody on a bike heading on it towards West Street that wants to turn left, the tricky thing is going to be how the signal works and how the turning movements work at that intersection for somebody on bike.
That's a great point. I mean, this could be I keep asking myself, where will Annapolis's first bike traffic signal be? This could be a candidate. We don't have anything like that yet, although a lot of places have them these days.
And again, that also will be an SHA, right?
Yeah, right.
It's SHA's down there too, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So that's going to have to be in scope of the to be initiated SHA project.
Yeah, for those who might not be aware of what we're talking about with SHA, that's the State Highway Administration. They own a large percentage of our major roadways in Annapolis, so we have to work with them on a lot of projects. And I will say that they're probably farther along than they've been before on bike and pedestrian mobility, but still, most of what they do is moving cars. So we have.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, for sure.
About
I can't see you guys, so please just butt in.
This is Dan. Yeah. So this just seems a little bit unnatural to me. Like that sidewalk that goes behind the garage is pretty narrow when it cuts like behind the garage, and like I walk or run there sometimes. So I imagine if there's bicycles going, there's not really enough room there for people to walk and ride bikes safely, or I'm not sure. And it just looking at the map, it seems more natural for people that are coming from all directions to maybe go that one block along West Street and then turn right and go up before joining the West East Express. Is the reason why you are not proposing that, is that because having a 1 block long bike lane on West Street there would require some act of God with the SHA?
Basically,
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we acknowledge that that's probably what a lot of people are going to do?
Yeah.
I
do a fair amount of acknowledging of what for example, I mean, at West Washington, we wanted to have a diagonal crossing right here, but we got some pushback from our own city public works folks who don't tend to try to do things, much more traditional way. I guess that's the best way to describe it. And so we kind of admitted that if you're on a bike, you're probably just going to cut across. There'll be a good sign here and some, wayfinding, but for pedestrians or people are more cautious, they're going to take the crosswalk. But yeah, I mean, there is a segment of the population that probably just going to enter on West Washington. I think we were thinking from visitors to Annapolis from that perspective, having an actual place at People's Park that could orient them and, have some trail map signage. Maybe I'm not sure if there's actually something about the train already there. It might be, but that was the idea. I get what you're saying. I mean, what we may want to do is at least put the Sharrows on West Street at the very minimum, and some signage to clarify.
Hey, Eric, just a comment on the path that's going to be behind that Department of Social Service building. Since it's going to be right up against the wall there, is there going to be a sufficient buffer so that, you're not counting that space exactly right next to the wall as roadway for the bikes? Because, a bike handlebar hits that building and you're smacking into the wall. So is there going to be sufficient buffer away from that?
We need to look, because I'm not sure what the exact width is. It is pretty tight.
This is Eric. When I looked at the bike trail, the only area that made me nervous was actually the area behind social service, especially where it exits onto Calvert Street. Because there is zero visibility of the pedestrians on that sidewalk. That building comes right out to the sidewalk, so there kind of lacks some visibility there, which made me nervous of potential pedestrian bike collisions. And there's also exit doors that are pretty popular with social services on the back side of the building for those who smoke. All kind of go out that back area to stand and smoke under the tree. So if the door opens, it's going right into that sidewalk area, which could be a surprise for a cyclist going through there.
Yeah, it's a great point. This could definitely use some redesign and thinking. Yeah.
What have you considered having it just go down Clay Street?
Um,
Like kind of one block up?
We have not. It's primarily because we were trying to mitigate, just conflict with anything else. I mean, Clay is narrow there too. Actually, that block may be a little wider. When I think about it. I could pull up the Google map. But
that makes the left unpleasant. That kind of does make sense.
Yeah, I don't think that block of Clay Street is too tight, but I'm not a city planner, so.
we haven't looked at that. Yeah, it's I mean, I think that the directness of going through, the park, and then, obviously it jogs a little at West Washington, but we were trying to avoid the jogs too. I mean, that's also part of this, but
Because that would also avoid the kind of awkward crossing of West Washington Street, because you would just be turning left at that. I think it's a 4-way stop at Washington and Clay.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, it's just something to think about if you end up running into a lot of headaches with that kind of narrow corridor between the parking lot ramp and the building there.
Yeah.
To me, the important thing is not having to fight with the barriers around the Lowe's hotel, right? So I hope that the energy of the city can be spent making that happen, and also opening up the access to the Clay Street community like we were just talking about without those horrible fences. Rather than like this end of it, I feel like it's kind of like not worth your energy to fight with getting something behind that parking garage when there's already other ways to get around there.
Yeah, so the only counterbalance here, and there's a tension between the real goal is to keep this completely road separated, so shared use path. And so, like going between the buildings, completely road separated. If we go over to Clay Street, if we can get cycle track where there's some vertical barrier between the vehicle travel lanes and this shared use path, that's okay. But it's a tension between what the feasible and trying to keep it as road separated as possible. So I'm not.
Yeah, that's true. I should say that the one of the big federal grants we got for this section, the federal grant is called Recreational Trails, and it's only for trails. You can only cover things that are not on the roadways. So now we didn't know that when we started. We were designing it without that in mind originally, but that kind of has reinforced not using streets. But I think that maybe we could also add striping. We could do things on Clay, on West Street, that basically just still make those access points, you know, so you don't necessarily have to go through.
We also, Eric, you and me had discussed half of that can actually be wider. I mean,
Okay. Oh, up
right
until the
over-
ramp.
Yep, remember that?
Yeah,
I think
that's
we
right.
can make that happen. So it would really only then be about 30 feet.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point.
I'm guessing 30 feet. I have no idea, but it's close.
Well, these are great comments. You know,
You can only actually make it wider in the middle, Brian, because at the end you have the pedestrian path that comes out of the parking garage. where there's-
No, I know, but that can be
we can
done.
adjust that. Yeah. Yeah. But
We
yeah.
looked at it. It can be done.
There is no shortage of things being moved on these projects. Like that's it's like at some point we had to sort of say, all right, it is what it is. You know, we have to move things. You know, but we are trying to minimize that as much as possible. So you're gonna one way there. You're crossing West Washington. There's a nice sort of new corner landing here, and then we're using. Part of Bowman Place, this is the mid-rise build, the senior apartments that I mentioned. We're using a portion of their property, and we've been meeting with them. They're supportive of this project. We're going alongside this green area they have here alongside the alley. It's actually still considered part of that Lowe's access road. And they have a kind of a planted area that was, I guess, put in when they did their parking lot. We're going through there. There's not a lot of impacts to trees. It's actually just mostly small shrubs that are not in great condition. And coming around, this is where that existing wall is at the Graduate Hotel, between there and the parking lot. We are doing some movements of curb in this parking lot. We're putting a fence up. That's one of the compromises with Bowman Place is this. They have issues with security. That's kind of a line in the sand for them. They support this trail, but they really want the trail to be sort of. They support the access point at Pleasant Street, but they really just want to encourage people to use that and not cut through their parking lot. And so basically there would be a fence between the trail and the parking lot. And there's an existing fence that would stay right here. But Pleasant is really kind of a major entry point.
Eric, this is Todd. Whose concern was that about that? Was it the residents in Bowman Place, or was it from America that manages and owns that? Who wrote that concern?
It's the management there at Bowman Place. I guess it's the Homes for America company that developed that project and does the management there. So, yeah, I mean, they've expressed that. In fact, they put a rolling gate in right here relatively recently that wasn't there before. And I think it's open most of the day actually, because it's actually a manual gate, I think. But yeah, so we get into these kind of situations a fair amount. We have to just try to find some middle ground. And but I think this one it's for all, for what it's worth, I think it's reasonable compromise, given that Pleasant Street is going to be the access point there. And it's pretty straightforward once you get into the Graduate Hotel's parking lot. And what we did was we moved a lot of the parking lines to rebalancing. The Graduate didn't want to lose any parking, so they did have a lot of parking spaces that weren't sort of up to code. So by restriping, we brought a lot of parking spaces up to the current standard, and I think they're only losing maybe 6 spaces overall, which is pretty remarkable, given that we're taking essentially 10-foot wide. And then there's 2 feet between the parking block and the trail in general right here. We have these bump outs where there's existing utility poles. There's power lines going down this corridor and lights. And so we did these bump outs to just try to avoid those. Those are probably the most expensive things to move. So that one, that's just kind of a workaround. We are, there's currently a fence between Oberry Court community and the parking lot. We are replacing that with a wall, and I'll tell you why. There's two reasons. One, we have heard complaint that the residents get headlights into their homes from the parking lot. And that's from like the Oberry Court. And then the Graduate has their security concerns, and that was another request. And so it's a wall that I think will actually, I mean, makes good neighbors, I guess. But no, it will have mural probably on the one or both sides, and you know, has potential to be, you know, utilized in some way for that. But you know, that's currently in the design. It's you can see, let's see here, there's a section
Kind of a
drawn.
win-win because the neighbors get more privacy and the Lowe's gets the security concerns they had satisfied.
This is the this is a cross section. This is the wall. It's just about 6 feet above the grade. It's just a block wall. We have stucco probably, and then the trail, and then the parking here. And so, yeah.
So it won't be an East West Germany type wall.
Say that again.
It won't be an East Germany, West Germany type wall.
No, no, it won't be that. It won't be that. You know, I mean, it won't have a checkpoint. I mean, you know, so it has these dedicated access points. You have Pleasant Street and you have Rideout Street. If I keep going down, you'll see this is the BG&E substation right next to Oberry Court, and this is Rideout Street. It's it just currently dead ends at a fence to the parking lot, and it's not really easy to see here, but there would be an opening. You know, it's 10 foot or so. You know, an opening for trail connection will be marked, and you know, so that.
And then just one block up is Robert Eads Park.
Right. It's off the map, but yeah, Rideout goes right up to Clay, just right off the screen here. And then just to the left of that would be this waterfront park project that we're doing on College Creek. That's probably going to break ground in August. So yeah, so that's another value in having Rideout become kind of a more important connection. But yeah, one of the ways we were able to gain the space that we need, on the south side of the Graduate Hotel parking lot, we were able to reclaim some land that was outside of an existing fence line, but still usable. So let's see, everything that's in this, you can see this black and white striped area. That's all reclaimed. That's all like new paved area that wasn't that we're reclaiming, and we're rebuilding a retaining wall here. And but that allowed us to move everything south to squeeze the trail in. It's not really, I mean, I shouldn't say squeeze. I mean, it's size. It's 10 foot. It drops down to 9 foot here. I think is 10 here, and then it's 9 here, and stays at 9. Let's see, it pinches down to 8 right here. 8's really the minimum for designing the two-way trail. It's wider than most of our other trails today, but still it's
I think he was going to try to make it 10 the whole way.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because then we have all that space, or some more space on the other side.
Yeah.
Eric, you probably have this, but at the entrance to the trail at Rideout, you'll want some treatment that's safe and comfortable for bikes and peds, but will keep vehicles from passing through there.
Yeah.
So people will use it as a cut through. Otherwise, we have it we have that happen up at,
That's, yep, we definitely need a,
Bollards or something?
ballard, yep.
Yeah. Okay. I see we're already like 10 minutes to 7. So probably set expectation too high that we get through all the sections. But I think, this is really more straightforward up until you get to Taylor. And this is where we pick up with a trail segment that's being provided by this hotel project as part of their agreement with the city. So, you do have to cross this access way here, but then you're coming up and you're crossing in a place that's going to be far more visible to drivers than what we have today. So this has actually been recently put in, this paved spur of the trail. What we used to use was coming alongside the parking area right here. That's still there, but we're going to be probably closing that off and just using this. So so that's the segment. I just want to break for a sec and just say, is there a opinion we could meet a few weeks from now and go over the Poplar Trail improvements and the western extension, or we could just do like 2 months from now, sometime in July, and we'll probably have a bit more to share. But does anybody have an opinion about that? It would be late June would be the soonest next meeting, I think. So
I'm okay with, this is Todd. I'm okay with picking it up in a couple of weeks. I'm open, flexible to anyone else, so.
Same.
Yeah, I'm happy to meet in a couple of weeks. This is Dan, especially because it seems like there's like kind of things going on and decisions being made, and it'd be good to have some communication before every decision just gets made, and it's more just telling us what's going to happen rather than letting us have some input.
Sure.
Works for me.
Cool. All right. Well, yeah. All right. It'll be last week of June. I'll send around. I might send around a couple options. What we have to squeeze into the TV schedule. Julian here is one of a couple people who run these meetings for the city, and there's lots of boards and commissions that use the same Zoom channels. So we tend to have to thread the needle a little bit in terms of when the availability is, but I'll see what's available. We should be able to find something. And I'll just give you a teaser for the Poplar Trail. Where we are right now, the current concept is really, it's not a huge departure from, there are some real neat things though, where, we have a very narrow trail today. The main thing is widening it to at least 10 feet. And that's kind of the minimum. You can see what we're picking up here. We have this culvert going over.
You're actually not sharing anymore.
Oh, thank you.
Hey, Eric, I got to drop. I really appreciate you gathering people who live and use this, getting that feet on the ground, wheels on the ground input. So thanks a lot. I look forward to the next one.
Thanks for being here, John. And we're gonna break in just a couple minutes here. You got to take off too, Phil. All right. I'll just say, as we get into the Poplar Trail stuff, thing to keep in mind is, we're essentially keeping the trail we have. We're widening it. We're looking to add some kinks to it a little, give it some more interest, but also things that can kind of slow people down. That was one of the concerns that we heard initially talking to some folks. Just people don't want it to be the B&A trail. I get it. you know, I think it's not going to be that in terms of just being a straight, unimpeded cycle track, but there is an opportunity. I think with every bend that we add like this, you can create a space in the, you know, that where you're not putting that trail. There can be an amenity of some kind. We go over the creek here. There's an opportunity.
I don't think I'm
Overlook.
seeing what you're looking at.
Yeah, yeah,
Still
Eric,
not.
you started screen sharing, but it didn't fully load.
Oh man! All right, I should
It was-
probably just quit now.
It's saying you're sharing, but it's just a black screen.
What about now? Are you seeing now?
No.
No. All right. All right. I'm gonna. It's not meant to be. I don't know. But that's. I think that's your homework. I mean, just thinking about the existing Poplar Trail. I mean, there are opportunities to put some things on that amenity wise that could create stopping points, places of interest. Our design consultant made us aware of a precedent in College Park, Maryland, called the Trolley Trail that is almost identical. It's an old rail line that has just a few more features. You know, they've tried to play up the railroad history, and so I think that's what we're going to pick up with in a few weeks. But I appreciate if anybody has any more questions. Now's the time. Otherwise, we'll break. But
What's the rough timeline when any of this might actually happen?
well, we're trying to have. We're trying to get, believe it or not, we're trying to get to like 100% design on that section behind the Graduate Hotel. That's the east extension. That and the Poplar Trail by the end of December, if we can. So, I mean, it's like we want to keep meeting at a pretty regular clip here. We have a great design consultant. It's a company called Mead and Hunt. They're based in Columbia, and they've done a lot of trails in the region. Several of the ones they've been putting in Baltimore on like North Avenue and Mount Royal Avenue, I think is theirs. And so they have a lot of experience with on-street and off-street stuff, and they're ready to keep moving. So just trying to make sure we get input along the way. And the western extension, even though we did do there was a feasibility study done of that 2 years ago. It's pretty straightforward in terms of it's just using a utility corridor from Admiral Drive to Gibraltar. It's still, there's some grade change things, and we have to work with some of the adjacent property owners there too. But I think we're a little bit farther ahead on the east extension, and the Poplar Trail is just more straightforward. The Poplar Trail is the only segment the city just owns outright. And that's why that one, even though, you know, we don't have a 30% design on it yet. It's just going to be a more straightforward to do. So, yeah. All right. Well, thank you all again for being here. Appreciate it. I'll be following up, and feel free to be in touch if you have any other thoughts after.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks a lot.
Eric.